Varla's best-selling dual-motor sports scooter has been upgraded yet again. This is the 40-plus mile-per-hour Varla Eagle One version 3.0. So usually I feel like I know what to expect before I even pull the scooters out of the box. After all, I've been riding, testing, and reviewing scooters for 5 years now. But I got this one completely wrong because I expected it to be a lot more like the original Varla Eagle One, and this is not that, but this is the same basic model. And you know, a scooter that was simple, fast, and relatively cheap. This is none of those things. This scooter is $2,000, so it's got to compete with some of the best scooters out there, but it actually does when it comes to the components and the performance and just the overall ride quality. So it really shifted my perspective on how to approach this review. So now there is another version in between the first one and this one called the Varla Eagle One V2, and from a distance they look the same. So let me show you some of the things that have changed in the V3. It's got a brand new big, bright, colorful display, a motor spec 20% more powerful than the version 2.0, a 25% bigger and much better battery made with LG 21700 cells, really the best cells you're gonna find in an electric scooter. And the 2.0 already had these, but these are the widest 10-inch tires we've ever seen. And then there's this enormous piece of wood. Now this came with the version 2.0 as well, but it's a pretty unusual feature and we'll show you what that's all about later. The Eagle One version 3.0 comes in silver or green, and this is the green version here. And it's got some pretty impressive performance specs, but we're not gonna take their word for it. I'm gonna put it through 5 performance tests and then compare it to the exact same tests run on 9 other scooters to see if the Varla Eagle One 3.0 has got good performance per dollar. Stay tuned, because I'm gonna show you how to make the Eagle One version 3.0 even faster than it is when you pull it out of the box. Speaking of which, let's go see what comes in the box and then go for a speed run.
This is really well packed. Okay, now this next part might be the weirdest thing I've ever found in a scooter box. And it's not that the branding is a little on the nose there with the Eagle, it's that it comes with this huge wooden sort of go-ped style deck. I mean, huge, like almost twice the width of a regular deck. And it keeps going. There are like 2 spare grip tapes for the big one and 3 for the regular deck. Right, it comes with a big box of spares. We've got our fasteners here, that's our dashboard, and oh, it looks like a couple NFC cards. So we're gonna be able to lock this and unlock up these. Headlight, not my favorite to put on headlights, but you know, it's 1 bolt, not that big a deal. Some extra trim pieces, probably in case you bang up the ones that came on the scooter. And manual, tools, little bell, really nice alarm one. And let's see how many amps we get. All right, we have 2 amps, pretty standard on the charger.
All right, it's time for the top speed run on the Varla Eagle One 3.0. The specs sheet says it can do 40 miles per hour when it's freshly charged. Can it do it? Let's find out. All right, here we go. Got the settings all maxed out, including the P settings. Tires are aired up. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. 20 already. 25. 30. And this is on the display. It'll be different in the corner of the screen here. And, oh, kind of stalling out. 35, 36. Okay, we're going again. 38, 39. Okay, we're hitting the indicated top speed. But is it the real top speed? We'll find out from the data logger. And oh, it's still going. All right, that was a nice long run. Wow, the scooter feels super stable at speed. Here we go, top speed run, opposite direction. Perfect weather conditions today. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, go. Wow, 25. He's really picking up speed. 30, 38, kind of stalling out. 39. Can we get an indicated 40 in both directions? There it is. We're definitely hitting the top speed. All right. The Eagle One version 3.0 beat the 40 mile per hour spec, coming in with an ESG certified top speed of 40.3 miles per hour. And that's like a little above average when we compare with all scooters, but even when we compare it with the 10 best in class, it's still near the middle. But more importantly, any scooter that can go 40 miles per hour or more really has more speed than you need for any practical purposes. With the P settings turned all the way up, the Eagle One V3.0 gets from 0 to 15 in 2.5 seconds, which feels really sporty and is right on target for the price. All right, let's take a close-up look at the Varla Eagle One 3.0, because up close is, you know, where all the interesting things show up on this scooter, because I had completely the wrong idea about this scooter. I thought this was going to be, you know, kind of a cheap and cheerful sports scooter, you know, not very expensive, but also felt kind of cheap. And it's not that at all. It is not cheap at $2,000, but it also doesn't feel cheap. It has a bunch of best-in-class components. So I'll start with these. These are literally the widest 10-inch tires we have ever seen. Usually they're 3 inches wide. That's the standard standard 10-inch sports scooter tire. They're even wider than like the old original Varla Eagle 1. This B-roll will show like all three of those lined up right now. Not new though, they had these on the version 2.0, but it's new to us. We've never seen them before. And these are tubeless tires, and the reason you care about that is that tubeless tires are more resistant to punctures and they work better with tire sealant. They don't come with sealant pre-installed, but if you want to add some, we recommend Armadillos, and we'll put a link to that down in the description. The brakes are dual hydraulics, and they are absolutely huge. These are 160 millimeter rotors, nut brakes, although if you look up at the levers, they're branded Varla up top, and nut brakes are some of our absolute favorite hydraulic brakes. Let's go check out the brake test real quick. So Varla's done good things with the brakes and one not so good thing. The good things are they've used really big rotors. I don't know the exact diameter, I'll put it on screen here. They're just gonna feel better than smaller brakes. The weird thing they did is that the front brake is controlled by your left hand, which is the opposite of almost every other scooter. And so I went to do a skid just now, and fortunately I kind of checked this before I did it, because if I had just grabbed a big fistful of left brake like I usually do to make a skid, I would have ended up on my head. So check that out when you get your Varla Eagle 1 3.0 and see if yours are the same as mine. But now it's time to test the brakes. The Eagle 1 3.0 stopped from 15 miles per hour in 10.3 feet, which is about typical if we compare it to some of the best-in-class scooters at this price range, with the Okai Panther taking the #1 spot. The next thing is this suspension. It doesn't look fancy, there are no adjusters on here, but they're hydraulic and they feel amazing. You can adjust the preload. I haven't had to adjust it. They feel just absolutely perfect for me. And you know, we are maybe at this price point starting to get used to seeing adjusters, but I mean, they feel really good and that's what counts. And these shocks are just so much better than the originals, which had absolutely no damping at all. Next up is the stem latch. So we've got this stem latch. It's kind of an old school latch. It spins out like this. You got the grenade pin right here, and then it just folds down. The latch is like industrial strength here. We got this little keeper to keep it in there. Huge steel ring that it goes into. And so this is just ultimately secure, not worried at all about this falling out once I latch it in. And then going back up, you just spin this guy down. One thing I did notice, and I've seen it in other reviews as well, is that this can loosen up just a little bit over time. And so you might want to throw a little bit of Loctite in there just to gum it up a little bit and keep it spun down. The headlight is a 10-watt LED, which is like 2 to 3 times as bright as the brightest LED headlights we've seen so far. And we'll demo this against some of our favorites back in the studio. And the displays also, those have been getting like better and brighter. And this is one of the best and brightest we've seen. The colors are amazing, and it's just like we're hearing direct sunlight, and it couldn't be more clear. And you get swag lights too, but they keep it simple, so you just get 3 choices. There's no app for the scooter, but there are a bunch of P settings, and you definitely want to get in there because right out of the box, the scooter does not come set for maximum performance. And so I'll put those settings up on screen, the default ones, and then what you need if you want it to go as fast as it can. It also doesn't stop as fast as it can right out of the box because regen for some reason is set to 0. For me, I went in there and set it to 1, and that felt really pretty good, and that's what I did all the brake testing with. There's no option anywhere to set this scooter to single motor as far as I can tell, but that's really a good thing because reliability-wise, you're better running dual motor scooters in dual motor mode. If you want to save range, just use a lower mode and go slower. You'll get all the range and your motor controllers and motors will last longer. There are 2 ways to unlock the scooter when you turn it on. When you first hit the power button, it's going to come up asking for a PIN code, and you can just hit M, because the initial code is just all zeros. But if you want something faster, it comes with 2 NFC cards, and to unlock it, you just turn it on and then hold the card sort of on the right-hand side of the screen and it unlocks right away. It's weird because it doesn't unlock if you hold it anywhere else. So I mentioned this in the beginning, but the Varla Eagle 1 version 3.0 comes with some strange options for the deck. One, you get just a bunch of different grip tapes, and then you get this huge wooden platform. We'll show you some B-roll of that, and then just like how my feet fit on that. It's just this enormous wooden gope head style deck. Never seen anything like it, but it does look like it would give you a ton of room if you want to go on some long rides. Under the deck, it's got a much bigger battery, 25% bigger than the V2.0. And it uses LG 21700 cells instead of generic 18650s. It's still 52 volts, but now it's 26 amp hours for a total of 1532 watt hours. That's big. It's got 2 charge ports, and if you use the one charger it comes with, it's gonna take you 12 to 13 hours to fully charge this scooter from dead. But if you add a second charger, you can cut that in half. Let's talk about portability for a minute. This scooter weighs 82.2 pounds, which is really right at about my limit for what I can haul up a flight of stairs or comfortably put in the back of a car. And that's about 10 pounds more than the original Varla Eagle 1, but it is actually kind of a typical weight for scooters in this class. Something that's not so typical is the way you pick this scooter up. The rear grab handle is basically the rear light, the same one that you're trying to avoid standing on when you're using the upper footrest. The Varla Eagle 1 V3.0 gets a reliability score of 8.0, and that's pulled upward by having LG cells and good parts availability on their website and a longer than usual warranty. It's covered for 2 years for most of the scooter, although the battery's only covered for 1 year. And it's pulled downward by the fact that it's not UL listed. And unlike the original Varla Eagle 1, it's got a really beefy kickstand that looks like it's gonna last forever, but it's got no front fender to speak of up here. And so despite its IP54 water resistance rating, I really can't recommend riding this one in the rain. So let's talk about the motors for a minute. It comes with two 1200 watt nominal motors. So that's 2400 watts of nominal power. They say it's got 3200 watts of peak power, but if you do the math, these are 25 amp sine wave controllers. There are 2 of them. And if you multiply that out times the peak voltage for the battery, you get something that's a little bit less than 3000 watts of calculated peak power. But regardless of whether it's 2900 or 3200 watts, dual motor scooters climb hills like they aren't even there. But of course, it doesn't really mean anything to say they're good at climbing hills, so let's go test it against 8 other popular scooters to see exactly where this stacks up. Right now it's time for the hill climb test on the Varla Eagle 1 3.0. I've got it in top gear, P settings are maxed out. Let's go. Go! Good launch. 14, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22. Nice. These brakes mean there's no trouble stopping at the top. The Eagle 1 version 3.0 climbed our test hill in 8.8 seconds, which is around the middle when we compare it with our favorite scooters at this price point. All right, let's go for a ride on the Varla Eagle 1 3.0, and I'm just gonna kind of run it through all the modes and show you what it's like to ride. So right off the bat, you can choose how many modes you wanna have. You can have 3 modes, 5 modes, or let's just select 9 modes even, but I tried that, it didn't work. The speeds were like all over the map. So practically speaking, just 3 and 5. And really, I'm just gonna run you through the 3 mode version because when you have 5, they're so close together, they're kind of hard to tell apart. Right away, something that kind of stands out on the scooter is that here I am in mode 1. Here, let me do a start from a dead stop. So mode 1, it maxes out at like 8 miles per hour. It gets up to speed like that fast. It's just like 2 seconds. And the funny thing is, I feel like all 3 modes kind of accelerate the same. The first one, you don't feel it all because by the time the power kicks in, you're kind of up against the limiter. But let me put it into mode 2 and let's see if I can show you what I mean. So here we are in mode 2. Okay, so that's pretty quick. And I'm up to top speed in about that long. We're at 30 miles per hour. That's top speed in mode 2. So that's pretty snappy. And then, oops, I'm in cruise control. I forgot to turn that off. So that definitely works. And let me just go ahead and tell you the trick with cruise control right now. And that is that it's not in the menu you think it is. There's an easy to get to menu. It's not there, it doesn't work. You have to go into the deeper menu and enable it there. It's in the advanced settings. So there we go, and I'm gonna do that now. All right, so now we'll try it from a dead stop in mode 3. And they're also, pretty mellow. I'm in the stock settings right now, but the acceleration really feels the same in all 3 modes to me. So each of the modes are really more like speed modes than riding modes. You're not really selecting how hard it launches. If you do want to select how hard it launches, you can get deeper into the P settings and turn it up. It comes set to intensity level 2. I used it at set to 4 for all the testing, but right now I've got it set back in the stock settings. That's how most people are going to ride it when they first get it out of the box. All right, so I'm going to turn A9 from 2 up to 4. Acceleration's maxed out. So here's first gear, little wheel spin, and then it kind of maxes out the speed really fast. Second gear, okay, about a half a second of wheel spin. Third gear, it's the same. All right, now let's check out the suspension and tires. The tires on this, as I mentioned, are absolutely huge. They feel great. A wide tire makes for a stable ride. And then the other half of the ride quality, of course, is this suspension. They're hydraulic shocks, adjustable for preload, not adjustable for damping. but they are really well set up for my weight. The damping works really, really well, and it feels great. The motors are dead silent. This has sine wave controllers, although when you turn the acceleration all the way up, it feels pretty abrupt. It doesn't feel very sine wavy. They are very, very quiet. These tires have a pretty aggressive tread pattern, which means they'd be decent in dirt, and they feel great on the road. But you do hear a bit of a little tiny bit of tire noise when you're riding, but absolutely zero motor noise. So I talked about the throttle response, but what about the throttle itself? It's kind of a cool little mini paddle throttle. I like these. They don't have very much dead zone. You can see very little push before it starts going, but I still like to anchor my thumb here on the housing and then rock into it to keep it really stable. But yeah, great throttle. I really like it. I love these grips too. These remind me of some of my favorite grips from back when I was racing BMX. They have nice little perforations, and they had that like super soft rubber feel that my favorite BMX grips have. And they clamp at the ends, so they're not going to roll around on you. Handlebars have a really nice amount of up sweep and back sweep. It's probably my favorite handlebar shape right here. Super comfy and very tall. These are 41.5 inches above the deck, so taller riders are going to love these. They're also very wide. I think they're like 27.5 inches wide, and so great fit for bigger, taller riders, except down here on the deck. You can see my size 10 shoes down there, and I'm kind of filling it up right now using the regular deck space. But what you end up doing is you end up riding a lot with your foot back here. Just watch out, because if you put your foot back this way, you're standing on the taillight and you will end up bending that down a little bit. It's not hard to avoid, just something to be aware of, because otherwise your taillight ends up pointing at the ground. The build quality of the scooter itself is super solid. This stem is just rock solid. The bars feel great. There are no squeaks or rattles. In fact, if you hear anything during this video, it's these little NFC keys rattling around, because I just, if I had them in my pocket, obviously they'd be quieter. But the whole thing just feels super solid and really well made. So I mentioned the stability earlier. I'm really pretty sure I could ride this no-handed, but I'm not going to do that for safety's sake. It's just super, super stable. The rake angle, this angle right here of the stem leaning backwards, is nothing special. It's like, I don't know, 9 or 10 degrees. So I expect to see a really kind of a lean back number there, because it feels so stable. But I think it's because there's kind of a built-in steering damper here. Not sure how they did it, but the steering, when I pull it out of the box, is very stiff to turn the handlebars left and right. And so I was worried that would mess up the ride, because I'm very sensitive to that. I don't notice it being stiff at all when I'm riding. It just feels like a nice, stable ride. So there you go. So let me cover a couple other controls here, which is kind of funny. We've got like a NAMI style control here. This is showing up on more and more scooters, but we first saw it on the NAMI Burn E. You get your turn signals over here. Not my favorite, because they're on top of each other. So you kind of have to look down to remember, is the top one the left one or the bottom one the left one? And they blink, I think, 20 times and then turn off. We'll show you some B-roll, what that looks like out back. And you only see them from the back. But this display, okay, we're in full sunlight right now on this display. The sun is shining right on it, and it is clear as day. The colors are super bright. This is one of the best new displays I've seen in a while. Oh, also, people had called out this latch earlier for rattling around and not saying stuck down by the magnet. This one totally stays stuck down. No rattles from that at all. One thing that's kind of weird, you'll notice I've got the bell mounted over here. And the reason for that is they ship this to you in the box. You look around, you're like, where does it go? Like, I'm going to put it over here where I can't reach it. I mounted it upside down because that's the only spot where I could get it on the handlebar and still reach it. And there it is. I think it works great. It just looks a little funny being upside down. But altogether, I am really impressed with the ride quality here. I kind of expected kind of a, budget performance scooter, as I mentioned earlier, and this is just not what this scooter is. So in addition to being a very capable sports scooter, this feels like it'd be comfortable to ride for a long time. And on that subject, it's time for the range test. All right, well, now it's time to range test the Varla Eagle One 3.0. I've got it in the top setting, is in gear 5. I've got all the P settings maxed out. I'm not even sure that's a reasonable thing to do. I'm not sure anybody's going to ride it, turn it up this much, because the throttle is a little bit abrupt. But, that's how we do it. So we'll see what kind of range we get. All right, so I'm down to the last 4% on the battery. And two things are surprising me here. One is that I've got over 30 miles showing on the odometer. And we'll see if that's real in a minute when we check the data from the data logger. But the other thing is I've got gobs of power left, like just gobs of torque. Every time it's time to go, you push the lever, it just goes. And so, I don't know, maybe we've got more than 4% left. We'll find out. 1% battery left, and it's still serving grunt. When's it gonna end? 130 uphill with 1% battery left. And that's it. We've reached the end of the battery, showing a 35.6 miles on the terp meter. But we'll find out what the real range is when we check the data logger. The Eagle One version 3.0 covered 33.9 miles on the hilly ESG range test course. To explain how that works, we always test on the same 1.6 mile loop that has 91 feet of elevation from the lowest to highest point. When we compare this with all of our favorite scooters in this price range, it takes second place. Pros include that it's got tons of range from a top shelf battery, outstanding ride quality, and a lot of room if you're a bigger rider with some of the tallest and widest bars in its class. Cons include that it's got a shorter deck, that the shocks aren't adjustable for damping, and that the portability is right on the edge of what I can lift and carry. So who is this scooter for? Well, the Eagle One version 3.0, it exists in a pretty crowded space for $2,000 performance scooters, but it's also got the goods. The ride quality is outstanding and the performance is definitely competitive at this price. So what are the factors that would make me choose this over a different scooter? One is if you're very tall and you like tall handlebars and wide bars, as long as you feel okay about shorter decks. But if you like a wider stance, you won't get a wider platform on this class of scooter once you've installed the wooden deck. It also feels like a good starting point if you're somebody who likes to customize your scooter because it just gives you so many options to kind of make it your own, or if you're somebody who really likes to ride at night because this definitely has the brightest headlight in its class. If you think the Varla Eagle One version 3.0 might be for you, use the link down in this video's description. Clicking the link helps support our channel and all the research it takes to make more videos like this, and it costs you nothing. Thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. It really helps our channel when you do that. Something else that helps our channel is if you watch more videos. If you like the testing we did in this video, that's how ESG reviews all electric scooters, and we've got 2 more we think you'd like right here. I'm Paul from Electric Scooter Guide. Don't ride like me, but do always remember to wear a helmet.